What do Tom Hardy in Venom, Christian Bale in Thor, and Adam Driver in Star Wars all have in common? They're all great actors in movies even your dog would be ashamed of. All of the films I'm looking at today were either critically destroyed, hated by viewers, polarized existing fans, or in the case of Batman and Robin, all three. But all of these movies were saved from Hollywood hell by world-class acting. I spent far too long looking at these star performances in god-awful films so you didn't have to.
20.
The Venom trilogy has a couple of things going for it. People like the movies, and Tom Hardy saves the day with brilliant acting. But overall, critics responded to Venom with, Venom. Despite the first movie getting 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, with Chris Bennion of The Times saying, ironically, the film lacks a bit of bite, 80% of people enjoyed it. And a huge part of that is because of Hardy. He signed on for the movie because his son loved the character so much, and this has been a big reason why he's thrown himself into the franchise. His weird double act, especially in the latest installment, when he does an extreme version of talking to his hand like a sadistic ventriloquist, goes down well with people, and this isn't by chance. Hardy voiced both Eddie Brock and Venom, which needed him to record Venom's lines ahead of time.
Actually, we'll do that. It's much more fun for it.
Which he would then play back through an earpiece while filming as Eddie. This let him react in real time to the peckish alien, making the powwows between the two characters feel more organic. So yeah, essentially, he was Jeff Dunham on steroids.
No, God damn it.
So Hardy was popular, but the movies in general, with critics, not so much. Sanzen on Reddit puts it well when saying the movies are watchable because Tom Hardy makes that crap script he's been given look passable. And after all, surely there's no better mark of a good actor than when they've been dealt the equivalent of absolute garbage on a poker table and still come out winning the hand. That's exactly what Hardy did here, a superhero cash cow partially saved by a great actor. Speaking of which, for Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher mixed the camp 60s version of Batman with the After Dark Leather Club of Tim Burton to create something that people didn't like much. Acclaimed critic Roger Ebert said it was easily one of the worst films he'd ever seen, and over the course of his life, he'd seen a lot of films. 12% on Rotten Tomatoes shows you how it went down, and this installment ultimately put the Batman franchise on ice.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Until Christopher Nolan rescued it in a resurrection effort for a new beginning. But in amongst the terrible dialogue, nipples on suits, and suggestions that plants can have multiple organisms,
Coming, Bane, darling.
George Clooney wasn't actually that bad as Batman. Modern thinker of our time, Nearly Headless Brick, said on Reddit that he was a great choice for Batman, he was just in the wrong movie. Especially considering the fact that he only got paid $1 million to be universally panned. At least Schwarzenegger got 25 for the privilege. Clooney would say,
it actually hurts to watch.
As well as saying that he upped Batman so bad. We are our own worst critics after all. Especially as it seems that there's quite a few people out there that thought he did quite a good job. Speaking of which, Uma Thurman also got plaudits for her performance as Poison Ivy. Deepaz goes as far to say on a Batman thread that she was the best thing in the movie. Then again, that's like saying she was the most intelligent person at a Flat Earth conference. At this point, Batman had become a money-making machine, churning out bank butter at a rate most franchises would aspire to. Which brings us on to... Pirates of the Caribbean 4 on Stranger Tides was a wise choice for Johnny Depp to star in, as it would pay off a good chunk of the court fees he was about to shell out on. For other members of the cast, it was a chance to shine, in the absence of some other ever-presence of the franchise. Ian McShane has cemented himself as a reliable supporting actor on huge movie franchises like John Wick, but before all of that, he was outshining everyone on Pirates 4 as Blackbeard. The franchise might have jumped the Kraken, but McShane was determined to take the movie, originally based on a ride at Disney, seriously. He approached Blackbeard as a pirate with his own code of honor, making him feel layered and intense, rather than a one-dimensional villain. This didn't go unnoticed with critics, saying that he was the one good thing about the movie. This helped to cement his status as arguably the most interesting Eon on Earth, which again is a low bar, I'll admit. While I'm talking about disappointing sequels at sea, I couldn't not mention this one. Michael Caine is famous for many things, especially not wanting you to blow off any more than the doors.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
What he's also known for is being the beacon of hope in the lighthouse of terribleness that overlooked Jaws: The Revenge. Caine missed the 1987 Oscars, where he won his first Academy Award for Hannah and Her Sisters as Best Supporting Actor, because he was filming this useless movie in the Bahamas. Hindsight is a cruel thing. The movie is so bad that he wasn't exactly in a rush to see it, ever. He's famously said, "I've never seen it. By all accounts, it is terrible. However, I have seen the house that it built, and it is terrific." The masculine-sounding Hombre Dave had an interesting idea for the movie, suggesting to lose the shark, shift the focus to Michael Caine and Lorraine Gray, and you've got yourself a pretty decent romance movie. A Jaws movie without a shark is an interesting concept. Maybe we should double bill it, with a James Bond movie but told from the perspective of Moneypenny's 9 to 5 in the office.
You know I never even look at another woman.
Oh, really, James?
Michael Caine is one of the most respected British actors of our generation, but there's someone who's got the potential to take that mantle, and another one whose shoulders were tired after filming an action horror movie, because he was carrying our next film the whole way through. Critics and audiences mostly ignored Morbius, Harder Than That Friend Who Wants to Talk to You About Crypto. The film only grossed $73 million in the US, which for a comic book movie in 2022 ain't great. And this was no sleeping giant either. With 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, critics weren't impressed. The polarizing figure of Jared Leto probably didn't help, but what did help the movie was the performance of Matt Smith. This was summed up by respected critic Cuddle McFluffles on Reddit, who said, "He was honestly so great. Practically every scene he was in was hilarious." Yes, the movie wasn't a comedy, but was in desperate need of comic relief, especially as actual critic Sarah G. Vincent wrote, "The best part of Morbius were the opening and closing credits." Ouch. In an era of more comic book movies than there are trees in a forest, there are bound to be some stinkers, but this next one shows that at least 2 stinkers were released in 2022 and needed to be saved by another heroic performance. On the set of Thor: Love and Thunder, Christian Bale said that acting in front of a green screen for the Marvel project was monotony. Some audience members and critics shared this view when watching it. A Reddit user with this name that I'm not even going to try and pronounce said that he literally carried the whole movie with his performance of Gore, and it made them sad that his character was wasted in that film. Especially, I imagine, with the effort it took to get into the character. Just the makeup needed several hours of work each day, even before he made friends with the green screen. And Bale said that it was difficult to stay in character due to the weight and discomfort of the prosthetics. The end product of a movie with mixed reviews wasn't the best outcome, but then again, it could have been worse for Bale. Reign of Fire had a very talented ensemble cast. Bale was joined by Gerard Butler and Matthew McConaughey for this movie about very extreme arson, courtesy of the original Pyromaniacs, Dragons. Despite the director saying about the cast, "I don't think you can afford to put those 3 guys in the same movie right now because of budget reasons," obviously, they still did, and unsurprisingly ran out of money to have the effects they wanted in the final act. This led to a dragon-orientated disappointment the final season of Game of Thrones would be proud of. Matt Wolf of the Associated Press was pulling no punches when he said, "It was stupid, futuristic nonsense," and plenty of critics picked up on the fact that the CGI wasn't great in this movie. It barely made back the $60 million that was spent on it, but the cast saved it from being a complete washout. Then again, our next set of movies proves that you can have the financial backing of one of the biggest companies in the world and still not get it right. Adam Driver has had nominations for Oscars, 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, and a Tony Award. He put all his chops into playing Kylo Ren, and this didn't go unnoticed. What was also noticed with the new Star Wars trilogy was the fact that it was massively polarizing with fans, and after a promising start, went south with its reception across the board. Driver said that Star Wars was way more exhausting for me than it should have been. Dildan 22, the 22nd incarnation of the Dildan dynasty, Adam Driver was awesome as Kylo Ren, but a shame he was wasted on a disappointing trilogy. Driver is an ex-US Marine, yes, a real one, and this intensity was translated on screen, especially when he improvised scenes, like when he punched the wound on his torso during his fight with Rey in The Force Awakens. This raw animalistic side helped to get the audience on side with a trilogy that struggled to get a general consensus. And when it comes to outer space fantasy conflicts that polarize audiences but were saved by actors, look no further than... There's a really good movie in there somewhere, but it's a mess. An excellent summary of Cowboys and Aliens from Redditor Sometimes Why. This film had everything going for it. It starred Daniel Craig, fresh off his James Bond success, and chosen because of his distinct likeness to Steve McQueen, who starred in The Magnificent Seven, and opposite him, Harrison Ford, a legend in both westerns and sci-fi. The movie didn't do well at the box office, earning $174 million on a $163 million budget, which for a hyped blockbuster stacked with more talent than a Roman bank is a failure. Then the reviews aimed their revolvers and laser beams at the screenplay and tone. Christopher Orr of The Atlantic put it well when saying, "It was a phenomenally successful 2-man war against narrative clarity and continuity. Who won out? You decide."